home studio right now. I'm a music guy myself, so
There
I
you
do a lot
go.
of VST synth stuff, and I just got my
Yeah.
first actual synthesizer, the Korg MIDI Log XD.
Oh, there you go.
So
That's sweet.
I'm in a little happy place down here. I love it.
Yeah, I got rid of my happy places. Now it's all I now work at like I said, like a large mega church, where we do well, used to do like 5 or 6 services and
Yeah.
and I mix. I'm on the Digico SD9 and got my
Oh,
line arrays. So that's what I do now. I used to have recording studios, Detroit, Chicago. I was working out of Chapel Hill. So that was
oh,
a
cool.
lifetime.
Wow.
Then I had children. Then kids started happening, and then
I got 2 of those little projects upstairs too. It's like that's the magic of seeing yourself evolve, right? Because we have all these things that make ourselves happy and that really set us off. And then when you realize that family is like this X factor magnification, that like, sure, it takes effort to do it, but wow, what you get out of it is like so incredible. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, that's what I tell myself every day when I'm like, I sold my microphones and my mixing boards and all my guitars.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Oh,
so,
boy.
all right, well, yeah. Well, let's jump right on in. So, well, first, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Oh, nothing at all. I just woke up.
Nothing
It's like 7:30 a.m. and I haven't done it yet. So
It's bright and early for you. All right.
Usually I have steel cut oats with frozen blueberries with my kids.
All right. Nice. Yeah, I forgot it's a little early for you, maybe on the breakfast side. So, well, why don't we jump in? So, just real quick, I asked that question to everybody. So I always got to ask what was breakfast.
Totally.
Well, let's jump in. So, why don't you tell my listeners what you're currently raising money for over on Kickstarter?
Okay. We're working on a project called Roadie 3. It's the obviously 3rd generation of something that we've been working on for quite some time, which is an automatic instrument tuning device. So you hold it in your hand and you put it on the headstock and pluck the string, and it will physically rotate the headstock and tune your instrument perfectly for you. So that is, of course, into standard, but also into any alternate tuning or custom tunings or temperings or change your A reference or change your capo settings or a mixture of all of those things. And so as you can understand, there's a lot of things that a guitarist has to think about when they're wondering what song they want to play next. And so removing barriers from that decision is a huge part of allowing people to allow their set list to flow naturally or just to feel like they're expressing themselves the way that they want to. And man, you'd be surprised how many musicians don't tune out of standard because they just don't feel comfortable getting back, They don't want to mess up their guitar. So they'll have another guitar they play drop D stuff in, and they don't have that guitar, so sorry guys, we're not playing drop D. It's like, that's, a thing of the past. You can do it with any instrument, anytime, 30 seconds, and then you're there.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this is one of your problem solving, something we have in our church world of we want our songs to flow together. Well, cool. Well, I'm switching the tunings, and now somebody's unplugging, leaving, coming back, putting that on. I'm ready. I'm ready.
And then even like the really guys that want to do it all themselves, they're like, no, I got it. And then they'll pick up their guitar and they'll go like this. They're like, wait, no, hold on, turn around. Like, dude, come on, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we're just trying to take the pain points out, get people back to playing music. There's definitely ways that technology can smooth the bumps out of little things in our life without taking away the soul of them. People are always like, oh, you should learn to tune by ear. It's the best way to learn to tune. Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely agree. And how do you do that? You do that by listening to something come into perfect tune. So Roadie will show you every single time you tune your instrument what it sounds like to bring something into perfect tune. So that ear that you're training is not only being trained with, okay, what does perfect A4 sound like? It's also being trained with what does it sound like when something is not perfect A4 and it's brought to perfect A4. Right. That is really key. And so I think it's better than a tuning fork for tuning your ear because you actually listen to the note change rather than like pluck, change, pluck, change. So I like that concept, and I think that it does help people gain the skill that we're also doing for them.
That's cool. That's awesome. So now you mentioned that this is like the 3rd iteration of this product. Is that correct? Yeah. So what what changes from 1 to 3? Like where are we on the trajectory of this project?
This is sort of the moment where Roadie really comes into its own, and I'll explain how that happened. Roadie 3 is standing on the heels of the intellectual property that we were able to create for Roadie 1 and 2. Roadie 1 was an acoustic listening device. So you used your cell phone and you actually allowed it to listen to your instrument You could jack into your cell phone, or you could use it acoustically, via just listening. But this, of course, brought in potential for outside noise to, deaden the sound or just make it a little bit more difficult. Also, there's that extra jump required for the Bluetooth from the phone to the device. Yeah. So the speed wasn't quite what we wanted, and we knew we could do better. So we worked on using contact microphones and piezos. So the piezo turned out to be the thing that really worked well for Roadie 2. And that took quite some time to get just right and make sure that the noise cancellation was perfect, and that the new design had enough to it that we could bring it to the market feeling confident. And so that's where we kind of really grew what we were trying to build, and Roadie 2 came into reality in 2017. This, I'll be very candid with everybody as well. This introduced problems because we not over-engineered, we overthought part of it. That scroll wheel on the back, we really wanted to do something that was a tactile movement, to allow people to navigate through the device.
Right.
It just introduced too many problems. The spot welds, the laser welds that we needed to do for the spring steel under the button was really problematic to even design it. Thankfully, those didn't fail, but there was this tiny bit of plastic that could start to rub and then grab when you're pressing the button. This only happened on the first 500 units, but 500 units, problem like that, we've been trying to get them out of the market for the last couple of years. And so when people run into the issue, we of course just swap it right out and we apologize and move on. But this is the nature of the beast. We iterate, we improve, we get to the next level. So with Roadie 3, we removed the scroll wheel, we removed so there was a manual encoder that was a part of the scroll wheel, so that could also potentially cause issues, which we've had some recently. So we moved both of those issues, and then we started adding amazing stuff. So with Roadie 3, we have a color screen. We're twice as fast. We're more powerful. We're able to store more than twice as many presets, so over 100 preset tunings. Yeah. It's a really nice ergonomic design. So the tuning head comes out the top. The existing design is like an L shape, so you can sort of hold it, and then the tuning head comes out the side. Right. This time it comes right out the top, almost like looks kind of like a vape, like the round edges. So it fits really easily in your pocket. Excellent battery life, and it has a little D-pad navigation, which we're really excited about because we can make shortcut buttons on those D-pads. Oh, so let's say an instrument that you always tune the same way, and you just want to pick up your Roadie and go, you can just pick up your Roadie, turn it on, and hold down one of your preset buttons. And then you're already at that instrument, already tuning, and you're just gone.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
We were able to put so much more into it, and just, oh my gosh, so many cool features, like a vibrating metronome mode. So you can put it in your pocket and have it set to a rhythm that you're going to play, and it'll pulse in your pocket and give you that kick, Yeah. And
nice.
Oh, and for restring mode, you can restring your instrument, and it will bring your string to tension and then tune it all in one step. So you don't have to wind it up, change it, and go to the thing. So for just anything that we can do to take things that it was already doing and either connect them or simplify them or make them more intuitive or make them automatically a part of the system, we're doing it. And it's been an amazing thing to do on Kickstarter because we get all this excellent feedback of where our passions lie. Our backer community is unbeatable. They're so awesome. They're so engaged and always talking to us on the campaign and giving us amazing suggestions that we immediately run with and turn into product ideas. So it's the way our company has evolved is almost indivisible from Kickstarter. We really do think of those guys as a part of our team, and we love going back there. I mean, crowdfunding in general, it's anything that is taking the benefit of many and allowing it to be brought to bear on one thing. I think that is going to be incredible, as long as it can be removed from that whole too many cooks problem.
Right. Well, I mean, what you're mentioning is what I talk to a lot of project creators on, where they're so focused on just the money aspect. I want to raise this capital, I need that, and I'm you're not seeing the bigger picture of imagine X amount of people, 500 people talking about your thing, giving you little advice. These are all the little things that are not in the dollar amount, that is really, really beneficial for a young company to grow and to move forward. So it sounds like that's what you guys have been open and willing to kind of take that sort of feedback and run with it and continue to make products better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, there's this kind of psychological element of it too, which, it doesn't like get too deep into the whole like, psycho stuff. But if you give somebody the opportunity to be a part of something, they're going to want to see that thing succeed. Right. They're going to want to see that, go farther. They're going to want to share that thing. So by including them in the creating process, we are benefiting from it on so many levels. We're benefiting directly. We're benefiting from it because we grow a better product, but the people involved actually care. They actually care about what we're doing because they helped us do that thing. Mm-hmm. And that's not even achievable in any other means. It supersedes marketing. It supersedes sales. It's a whole different relationship building thing. And I love that.
Yeah. How long is the time frame from that version 2 to version 3? Like, how long are we talking in a time span wise?
3 years. So we had between 2013 to 2017. So 2013 was our Kickstarter for Roadie 1, and it came on market in 2014. So 15, 16, 17, we did our Kickstarter for Roadie 3, and then 18, 19, 20. I'm sorry, for Roadie 2, and then
Roadie
18,
2,
3. So yeah, and we're going to ship this year.
Gotcha. During that time period of between 2 and 3, what is like the big thing that's maybe keeping you guys up at night, or the thing that you're really kind of focusing on to make sure that you do right on this campaign? Or like, it's just, what are you guys like? What's that thing gnawing at you a little bit?
Well, for a long time, it was the video and getting it just right. We've been working on it for like 6 months. We're really lucky that we started shooting it well before the global health crisis. Yeah. And just trying to make sure that we had the right feel for the voiceover for. I ended up doing the voiceover myself. We paid for a voiceover guy, and he was sounding amazing, but the emphasis wasn't right on the certain words. Like, it didn't quite feel like it was us saying it. So right. I just did it myself because that made it more us, obviously. Right. The thing that I think that is keeping me up at night right now is feeling like I didn't do my early bird backers well enough. We didn't use as many tools as we could have brought to bear on them. I guess I out of hand dismiss a lot of the tools that get pushed on you when you're going to start a campaign. You're like, hey, you're going to start a campaign, but you want to use my tool. It's like there's so many of those that I didn't give credence to every one of them. And there's some of them that would have been a lot of help for us, like where they top up your early bird backers to increase the sense of urgency. We weren't able to get early bird backers to our Australian backers because they, woke up in the middle of the night, right, for us. Right. And our early bird backers went in like 10 minutes, like 1,500, boom. And so we didn't think it was going to happen. We thought, oh, wow, we're going to do more than we did last time. It's a limited number because we can't afford to give, everybody this deal. It's just not financially viable for us. But still, we should have tiered it. I should have released early bird backing packages at the 8 o'clock wake up time of every major market. And so that was my mistake for not planning correctly. And I just didn't think about that stupidly, being
there's a lot going on,
So I feel bad about that. And that does keep me up at night. There's a couple guys, I don't know if this will go out before he gets it or not, but there's this really cool, I don't know. There's some surprises that we've got coming for some people that we're trying to like figure out ways to sort of like give them a thank you that matters to them in ways that's not just like hey, we see you, buddy. Thanks for backing us. Right. So, we want people to feel like anytime they're dealing with our campaign or talking to us, that they're interfacing with humans. It's not just like, okay, take, response 76 and send it to number 54 guy. It's like, I just really want our company to always feel that like warmth, that tangibility, Sure. So it's hard to do because, especially in support, you have to deal with a lot of individuals and you can't do everything for everyone. But anytime you can, anytime you can give someone that extra touch, it makes it fun and feels good for us to do. So yeah, we're always looking for those kind of things. In terms of other stuff for the campaign itself, I really think that we did an excellent job preparing and getting everything where it needed to be. And the backer community, I think validated that with the first day. We didn't have any way of planning for the next couple weeks and what was happening globally. But that first day was really exciting.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, all my episodes, over these last like three months or so, everyone's like, we didn't know what we didn't expect that. Like, there's always this, this happened to us. It's been actually kind of refreshing to hear about the amount of people sort of not even so much just pivoting, but just going with the flow, knowing that they can't control it, and just being like, you know what, let's just have a successful campaign. And we're still seeing a lot of successes. I mean, they're still happening.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like people
Absolutely.
aren't backing. It's just, you got to roll with it a little bit,
You just have to accept that you are not the place that you actually want their eyeballs.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing for me to come to the conclusion of, like, because I was going to do a post for our campaign about Black Lives Matter and about the movement, but what it came down to was the same thing with, like, when you hear about from a celebrity, it's not about my thoughts or my campaign's belief or anything else. I should just do what I'm doing and continue to provide amazing tools for musicians. And of course we support the movement. Of course we're there for everybody who's protesting, and that's where they should be, is making their voices heard. So do that, by all means do that, and we'll be here when they're back. We'll have something amazing for them whenever they're ready. So that's where I'm at this point. It's just continuing to keep the lights on everywhere else and make sure that whenever they're done making change, there's something amazing to come home to.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good philosophy to have there. So so inside of this, was Kickstarter. I think, like, I know the answer to this, but, like, was there any hesitation at all to doing a third Kickstarter? Even in talking, or was it like you always knew, listen, we're making this product, we know Kickstarter is going to be a part of it? I know you mentioned that they're kind of like a part of your team and stuff, but there's any inkling in your company at all of, like, do we have to go back to this, or can we just launch, on our own store at all?
We definitely ask the question, and everyone should ask the question, do I need to do this? Is there something that I'm benefiting from this? And for our point, yes, absolutely, because we want the insight. We want to include the backer community for all the reasons I mentioned. The more I look on the platform, the more I see very, very, very large companies continuing to use it for launches. And it seems to me like it's no longer a bootstrapping methodology, but it's almost like a justification and a legitimization of what you're building for a community. And so rather than just saying to a community, hey, I made this, like, here it is, you can include them to say, hey, I'm making this. Right. Here it might be. It's just like it's a different approach. It's a different feeling of product creation for me.
Yep.
And so, even when we make a next product, we're going to bring it to Kickstarter, even if this one sells gangbusters and we're like the biggest thing, you can't say tuners without thinking of Band Industries. Yeah, we'll still do that because that's why we got that point,
Right.
So we have something so wildly exciting coming next year that I cannot say anything about. And, Kickstarter will definitely be able to see it first. And I'm really pumped for being able to share that. And the reason that I'm excited for it isn't because of the money that we're going to make at all. It's just because of the process. I can't wait to hear the comments. I can't wait to see what people imagine it to be, and how they believe it will affect their lives.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. Where, where in this process do you know that you're ready to, like, start the Kickstarter journey, right? Like, you've got your prototypes, or you've gotten to a point where it's like, it's almost ready to go. Is there something in your guys's, checklist where you're like, all right, we have the final, a prototype that's as close, or we've got it, all the bugs worked out, let's start focusing on this?
So we have a development process that works very, very well for us. And I'll explain it a little bit for anybody that can benefit from that. What we do is work heavily on the software and vetting the hardware on some sort of breadboard or non industrial design similar platform. Yeah. And we vet everything. If there's something that may affect that as a part of the actual physical platform, then we'll include that. Like, for instance, the piezo sensor, stuff like that. Once we're happy with that, we move directly into industrial design, and we work as a team. Basically, all of our high-level executives work with the engineers, and so we all sort of bring our ideas to bear on it. When we believe that we have something that that makes everybody happy, that we can't poke any holes on, then we begin the industrial design prototyping process. So we'll run through probably 3 or 4 of those in-house, just 3D printing them in our hands, feel like what they actually touch like and move like. And you can do a very good job of that with even the most basic 3D printer. So in terms of at this stage, you can do all of this at your house. You don't have to call anybody or do anything necessarily. Once it comes time to actually building a PCB and putting that PCB in a device, then you're going to be using, hopefully, the same house that you want to build your final product with, because you want to make sure that any and every step that they're using is the same thing that they're going to be putting into process with your final. So get a lookalike product. You know, if it's an act-alike product, that's great. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but it has to be a lookalike. It has to be exactly what it will look like, because the next thing you're going to do is, once you're happy with your lookalike, you know that the functionality is there, everybody's good, then you go for your media. You know, and you do product shots, you start your video planning. I mean, you should have your video planned and ready to shoot at that time. So there's tons of threads that come together at this moment that then run forward. You know, like all your marketing material should be in place. You should have your email list of your own personal marketing material ready to go. You should have your lookalike audiences for Facebook. You should have your other companies that may be launching, you know, at that same time, or may like you enough to blast you out, ready to go. Plan your product hunt. That's a part of Kickstarter. You have to have product hunt in your playbook. You know, make sure that you have a bunch of hunters that you already know are active on the platform that are going to, you know, like your product, not just brigade everybody that you know in the world to go join it, because that will kill your score. And then, so you have your media going, you have your hardware prototype ready to go. Hopefully you have a lookalike and an act-alike. If not, you just kind of fake the act-alike part. For us, we did. We're very lucky. We're not very skilled also, so it's not every part of it. But, and then, you put it all together. When you decide to say go on Kickstarter is when you, I think it's when you decide on a launch date for your media campaign. Basically, it's like when you say, okay, I'm going to send out emails to media with an embargo that has a date. You know, that is the no going back moment. Once that happens, you're going to launch. And with Kickstarter, you have to have your campaign put in there 3 days in advance so they can review everything. You don't have to have your video done. You don't have to have your, you know, campaign completed, but at least some facsimile of it so they understand what it will be like. So submit that. Then they'll be happy. You'll be happy. Just prepare to sit there for a month making sure you comment every time someone else does. That's it.
Yeah. Now, did you guys have any conversations around not launching in this time period with COVID and all this sort of stuff? Was there any conversations around maybe let's just hit the pause button until who knows when? But like, you know, was there any conversation like that?
If it wasn't something that we could directly see benefiting people in this crisis, then we would have maybe thought more about it. But the second that we started the conversation, the immediate answer from everybody on the team was, yeah, but we need to help people play music. I mean, like, this is when do people need to play music? They need to play music when they feel something very intensely. So there is no more time in my entire life, nor in my history that I'm aware of, that could be applicable. And so we want to make sure that we gave people tools that, I mean, yes, this isn't going to arrive till October, but who knows what October is going to be like. We knew very clearly from the start that this was something that we were going to launch regardless. Even if this thing didn't go anywhere, even if Kickstarter like tanked and we didn't make any money on it, we would have found a way to bring Roadie 3 to life. I mean, there's no way that we would have not done that. And so it wasn't a scary thing for us. It would be different if it was a campaign that was like, this is our first campaign. We've already put $200K into the product. If we don't make it back right now, we're totally sunk. You know, we weren't in that position. And so I'm not saying to somebody else, hey, go take a bet on everybody's future of your company just because you have a feel-good moment. You know, we were able to balance that with the logistics and with the reality of it.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, let's flip over. I mean, we've talked a lot about Kickstarter, but we actually haven't mentioned this campaign. So while we're talking right now, you've got about 13 days to go, over 3,000 backers, and you're at $317,000 plus. So obviously this is a big campaign. So kudos to that. A lot of success there. Was there, and you kind of mentioned just a little bit about like maybe an embargo of on your press that, you know, this is when you're going to launch, but are there any other metrics you're looking for of like the amount of emails, and especially maybe thinking back to maybe that first campaign, like, you know, thinking about somebody who's just getting ready to launch a campaign, you know, was there something that you're looking for of like, okay, we got 5,000 email addresses and, you know, we got surveyed, or was there anything along those lines that you're like, okay, we are, you know, the data says we're ready to launch on that?
It's kind of hard for me to say that about our second campaign, because it's, again, our second campaign. It would be different if it was our first campaign. For our second campaign, we had an incredible amount of forward momentum with Roadie 1, and we knew exactly what features would be like groundbreaking, gangbusters for the community. We had been working on it for quite some time under wraps, and so we had done a lot of vetting of R&D. And so it was, for us, I mean, obviously the product was going to come out. And so we genuinely needed insight as to whether or not these things that we were putting together were the right things to do. So in terms of whether or not we were going to launch on Kickstarter, I don't think we were ever wondering that. It wasn't a question for us because, of course, we needed those things that Kickstarter could provide.
Right.
I'm trying to like sort of like take that obviously extenuating circumstance out of it and get to the sort of nut of the question, because I want to provide a more general answer for anybody that might be thinking of, is it time for me? I think that the metrics that you should be looking at are your email list. Of course, you already mentioned that. You said 5,000. I think getting closer to 10,000 is important. You can launch a campaign with 5,000, you'll do fine. Think about every single email as a potential dice roll. You might roll 6, you might roll 1. Every dice roll matters. So every email sent matters. If that one person sends it out to their network and that network is really excited, then that one dice roll was better than the other 100 that you didn't roll well on. So you really cannot discount emails, personal emails, professional emails. Get the LinkedIn contacts exported. Do everything you can, get your whole team. Metrics, exact metrics, number-based metrics. I'm having a hard time. It's almost like a market maturity thing. I mean, like what you're presenting to the market has to be, obviously innovative, but like Kickstarter is kind of interesting like that. They want something that's of a different vein than just simply like doubling the speed. Like obviously we increase the speed of the product because we need to for other reasons. But if I was just going to double the speed and bring out Roadie 3, same design, double the speed, nowhere would I believe that would make a good impact on Kickstarter.
Right.
So you have to be willing to have a fundamental improvement, a genuine, product upswing. If you're going to bring it to Kickstarter, and if you believe you've done that, you should probably launch on Kickstarter, even if you don't have 5,000 emails, because it's a place where anything can happen. You could be the guy that gets brought up on high and that people believe to be brought to the top of the mountain. You just do not know. So I would be a fool to say don't launch unless you have XYZ numbers. You know your campaign, you know your audience, you know your product, and you're your best barometer. And I know that's not a cop-out answer, but
no, I get it, man. There's some things. Well, I mean, in my position, a lot of people are asking me these specifics, and I'm like, there is no specific. Every project's a little bit different. Your numbers are all a little bit different. What is success to you, right? So success might be 50 grand right now, and it proving validation, and that's still success. So there's a lot of different varieties in this sort of stuff too.
So that actually brings up a very good point that I should make. It depends on what you're doing with your company right now. Do you want to make bottom line dollars, or do you want to grow users, or do you want to make yourself attractive for an investment round? There's a very different way that you would do something depending on all of those things. So if you want to grow your audience, your people that actually own and use your product, you should basically make nothing on your Kickstarter sales.
Right.
Make it so your customer acquisition cost just completely balances, and then you just have tons of stuff out there. And you got to do a bunch of work and you got to pay your staff to make the product, and it's going to be a hit for you. It'll cost you $100,000, whatever. But if you look at how much people spend on marketing, that's why these big companies are going to Kickstarter. They could go and spend $100,000 on Facebook ads and say, hey, buy my widget. Or they could go to Kickstarter and be a part of something and interface with real people, So you need to ask yourself what you are doing with your company. And once you really believe you know the answer to that question, then you can decide how you're going to do your campaign and when you should launch it.
Yeah.
What it should look like,
100%. Yeah. 100%. So in this campaign, has there been anything that stood out that you guys were not expecting, like a country backing, or just something that's been like, that we weren't expecting that?
Let's see. Well, we didn't expect our early bird backers to go so quick.
Right.
That was a pretty intense surprise. I think I'm always happy to see this, but you're always worried that the campaign comments could ever devolve into someone getting upset about something. But our campaign comments have been just blindingly positive and really awesome. People have been so wonderful. So that was true for Roadie 2 as well. And anytime you have something really positive happen, you're always wondering, okay, when's the second shoe going to drop? So that didn't happen. It was amazing. And surprise wise, I mean, it's just everything in my brain is just like, the global situations, are
Right,
so
right.
much of a surprise that having
Yeah.
any other surprise go above that surprise. It's like, no, other than the
Yeah.
complete, global destruction we're
Right.
experiencing.
Right.
It's
Just
fairly
those,
normal.
just that little thing. That's all.
That's a little blip.
That's cool. So another thing that I think is important is you're doing a campaign that's shipping worldwide, and shipping can make or break your company. How do you guys sort of navigate where you're shipping, countries, packaging, that whole conversation, so that people don't make mistakes? Because I will be honest, I've probably killed 2 or 3 companies early in my time doing crowdfunding because we didn't think shipping was
Oh boy.
something you really worry about. Boy, so like walk us through a little bit about how you guys approach it, think about it behind the scenes, and how somebody should be thinking about shipping for their campaign.
Sure. So the first, well, not the first, the second campaign, Roadie 2, we ate the VAT for all of our international shipments. That was costly for us. We felt that it was necessary because we wanted to grow those international markets, and that worked. They came back and backed us for Roadie 3. For Roadie 3, we are just splitting the VAT. So we're charging them half of it and eating half of it ourselves. We feel like that's a fair way to go, considering that, people know that if they live in a country that's hard to ship to, that's part of, purchasing products. So that's where we went with that one element of it. But just in general, how to approach logistics extremely carefully. The fact that the word is almost like so beguilingly small, and like no one really knows exactly what it means. It's like, be concerned when something hides under a tiny little package like that. So yeah, logistics are the world. It's like somehow the one little world, logistics. It's like, how do you do everything everywhere for everyone? That's logistics. So it's definitely important. We have an incredible COO, Elias Ladiki, who manages our logistics team for us, and we have awesome partners in the United States and overseas that we warehouse with. And we had used Amazon warehousing for a while. We found that to be problematic because of a bunch of weird stuff. Like sometimes if you wanted to move stock out of the warehouse to, say, your customer or your other warehouse, they'll come in Amazon labeled boxes. And, it's just not a big deal, but it's just one of those things where like, yeah, I know you did that on purpose. So it's like, I like to feel like my partners are 100% my partners, not like 96% and then like 4% for them. And nothing against Amazon. Love you, Jeff. No, but like I think that it's nice to be able to have a logistics network built out of individual shops, individual houses in the major markets that you hold. So have something in the European area. I think we do Germany for that, and obviously a couple in the United States. We have one in the West Coast and one in the East Coast, and then give people realistic expectations. Don't say expect this inside of a week, because it's probably going to be over a week, and it's probably going to be maybe 2 weeks. And the thing is, your promise broken is way, way worse than them waiting for product.
Right.
And people have a hard time with that. They want to make people happy in the now, but the now is transient, and it's a large impact for people when they feel like something was going to happen, then it doesn't. I don't know. It's just it's a feeling that we've all had, and you don't have to tell anybody what it feels like, because we've all felt that same thing.
Right.
Just be careful how to approach logistics carefully. Do it very, very conscientiously, and imagine that every box that you send is someone's day, that you're going to ruin or make.
So with with a couple weeks to go in the campaign, and then a couple weeks for money to all drop and everything to get in all the bank accounts, what starts happening for you guys to get the Roadie 3 into people's hands? Like what starts that process?
It's already started. I'm not going to pretend that we're waiting for the bank account to be filled with this Kickstarter money to start doing any of this stuff. We're actively working on packaging right now. We're working on every element of production. We're already pushing a few things through tentative production lines. So we're a fairly mature company at this point. It's just different for us because we have all this stuff going. If you had to be like, okay, now we're going to go start trying to find a manufacturing partner, it's like that was a very painful process. So big shout out to Hacks. Hacks is the hardware accelerator based in Shenzhen, China, and then also down in San Francisco that Band Industries started in. I met them at that accelerator. I was a part of a different company at the time. but I immediately joined upon my opportunity to as their first employee. So we've been building this company for quite some time, but using the benefit that Hacks was able to provide to us, which was living in Shenzhen, China for 4 months, meeting the manufacturers, going to the factories, shaking their hand, ingratiating ourselves to them as humans, and then working with those same people from that point forward. So I say that, we're a mature company, but not just maturity. We're an incredibly, well-connected company based on the partners that we've been able to be, connected to. So, big shout out to Cyril Ebersweller and everyone on the Hacks team. Those guys are amazing. If you have the opportunity to go to China and to meet the people that you're going to be working with, do so. Right. It matters to them, and it will matter to your product, because we love our manufacturers and they definitely do us right. And we know we can trust that if a mistake is made, it was done on accident rather than just out of willful neglect. Right. Both of those things are totally possible in every relationship, and you need to know which it is if you make a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what you're kind of hitting at too for a lot of people is, look at your resources around you. Here in I'm outside of Detroit, and we've got a couple of really good hardware accelerators through a couple of colleges. And I'm always encouraging, like, listen, go be a part of these communities, go reach out, and I think a lot of the startup entrepreneur crowdfunding guy is, I can do it all myself. I'll just do it all myself. I'll do it all myself. And I'm always like, you got to go and integrate into these worlds and have conversations, because I guarantee you there's somebody at this thing you're going to that knows more than you do. Open your ears, listen, and don't do the mistakes. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do, just to be open like that. And it sounds like you guys have embraced that kind of mindset as a company.
Yeah. Well, empirical data is king, and it's hard to ever do anything other than seek it, and so I see and feel the desire on those individuals to do it all themselves, to be an island. But it's so gratifying to know that you've built something with the benefit. I mean, like, I keep going back to the same theme. I don't know why, but it's like, it's the same thing versus Kickstarter versus within your own company, your own partnerships. Knowing that you were able to benefit entirely from somebody else's mind and somebody else's life, somebody else's experiences, bring all that to benefit and to bear on your product,
right?
It guaranteed will be better than you doing it all by yourself, just by nature of the amount of experience and data that each individual human head that is being moved around the world by our body, we gather that data, we incorporate it, we synthesize it, and that takes processing power, right? So it's like the more processing power of brains that you can bring to bear on your stuff, that improves it. It really, really does. Even if your processor is top notch, it does help. It always helps to have more cores.
Yeah, definitely. I agree, man, completely. So what does this next 12 months look like for you guys in the company? I mean, outside of shipping product and getting all this stuff done, but just what does it look like? What do you guys see the next year looking like?
12 months exactly from right now, I'll be on a Zoom call with you talking about the next totally amazing thing that we just blasted people's worlds apart with. We want to do this again in about a year with something that I can't talk about yet, but it's absolutely incredible, and you musicians are going to love it. We have a roadmap that we are continuing to build in addition to that. So we will not be resting on our laurels. Anytime you build a project, you learn in the process and you are inspired, and that should kick off the next process. That should kick off the next project. If it doesn't, then there's something else going on, that you should find out why that doesn't fuel you to continue to move down your chosen path. So for us, it has, and we are just absolutely topped up and ready to rip down the path. We are going to, of course, be shipping product. We're going to be, bringing new partners in play. I'll be opening up new distributors. So my role is the VP of Sales and Partnerships. So I do all of the outward-facing stuff. So anyone that wants to interface with their company, I try to do that. And so I have a bunch of really exciting distributor partners that are coming on for Roadie 3. So we're going to be able to reach even more markets than we were for Roadie 2, and that's going to mean that we'll be localizing things, and so potentially doing new firmwares for different markets. We may do a Chinese firmware for Roadie 3. We did that for Roadie 2. Basically just maturing and solidifying and sort of rocking in the bedrock that is Roadie 3. Because the automatic tuning world has evolved so drastically from Roadie 1 to Roadie 2. And from Roadie 2 to Roadie 3, it's sort of solidifying and just becoming what it's always meant to be, which is a really fast, effective, intuitive, easy to use tuner. It's truly what we had always envisioned, but it takes time. Iteration takes time, and here we are. It's a fantastic place to be. We may bring a Roadie bass into that same form factor, but we didn't do a bass version of it because it would have to be so much larger for the bass fork, that we wanted to do something for guitarists that was just so diminutive and easy to grab onto. So Roadie bass is already an incredible tool for tuning basses, and it will do any instrument as well as bass. So it wasn't as important that we get that iterated on as it was for Roadie 2.
Yeah. And are you guys looking at, like you mentioned distributors, but is it big box retail as well, the Guitar Centers of the world, that type of stuff?
We're already there. Yeah, we're already in every big box retailer that you can probably name. Some of them we don't have in-store presence on, just because it's expensive to put things on a shelf. But we have presences in all of the major music stores and overseas, and all that kind of good stuff.
That's cool. And then how about, without again getting into the details of the new product, but just as a whole for a company, like 5 years from now, is it just, all kinds of different products? Is it just kind of staying in this tuning world a little bit? Is it growing internationally? Is it maybe making like really high-end touring stuff? What just is like a big 5-year roadmap, or just like the big dreams?
I'll lift a tiny bit of the kimono and tell you that we are going to be we're going to be heavily going towards education, music education. And we've already started that a little bit with some of the apps that we've been putting out. There's a ukulele, a ukulele learning app. I think it's called Roadie Uke or Roadie Ukulele. I should know the name of this. But anyway, we'll put it in the description. We have an app for ukulele players that helps them, strum pattern and fingering charts, and teaches them certain songs. And so that's a first step in that direction. But there'll be a lot of exciting things coming from Band Industries. They will continue to be relevant to musicians, and we're going to continue to try to do things that will remove barriers from enjoying and expressing themselves via music.
That's cool. What's your thoughts on tuning at 430? Was it 432? Is that?
432 is amazing. I love 432. Yeah, A reference equals 432 is something that every musician should experiment with, and also more than once. Because the first time you do it, you won't like it. It will sound weird and jangly and strange, and you should push through it and keep playing songs that you think you will not enjoy in that tuning. Because sometimes you will feel, I don't even know how to describe this. It's a different feeling. It's like when something drops into a little peg hole, and you didn't really notice that there was an extra spot for it to drop, but now that it's dropped, it sort of looks even more flush than it was. Right. I don't know how else to describe it than that, but it's got an unctuous sort of clicking in feel that when you play some songs on that, Mark Farner from Grand Funk Railroad will not go on stage with anyone if they're not tuned into 432, keyboard included. So you keyboard out there, learn how to tune your keyboard to 432.
Jeez, that be a little challenging to tune to 430 on a keyboard.
Yeah, it is. You have to know how to menu dive. There's no Roadie board yet.
I don't think it's just the one transpose button, right? There we go.
No. But yeah, but when it happens, I've seen him do. We hung out with him at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when we were touring around talking to people for Roadie 2, and we couldn't do that for Roadie 3 because it wasn't safe. It's like I would love to have a bunch of awesome, people saying, "Hey, Roadie 3 is so awesome," but I don't want to put them at risk. It's just not worth me going to their house or sending something to them that may put anybody at any kind of risk. So we're just going to wait until that's easily doable. But so we went and saw him, and he, absolutely loved it. You can see on the Roadie 2 campaign, he's really enthusiastic. But he went on stage and just tore it up with like the whole cavalcade of amazing rock stars. And everything was in 432. That jam was just absolutely clean and beautiful. And
that's sweet.
Maybe it would have been the same in 440, but we'll never know.
Yeah, that's sweet. Well, I've been ending every episode with sort of a lightning round since we've been locked inside for a while here, and questions that aren't about tuning and crowdfunding. So if you're game for it, I'll shoot you some questions.
Okay.
You ready? All right. First one is what have you been watching on the Netflix, Hulu, that type of stuff? You been watching anything?
I've been binging Community like so much. I've been waiting on that show for the longest time because I don't know where it played, but I didn't have it or something. So I love it. It is like I think Dan Harmon's already incredible. I'm a Rick and Morty fan. Almost like I hate to admit it because the fandom is kind of insufferable, but I like the show. I like what he does. But man, this show just continues to be so funny. And I've read a bunch of stuff about people being like, oh, the first first season. Nah, it's all amazing. It's all so good. And so that's been basically my go-to guilty pleasure if I want to watch something that are, playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto.
Nice. With that new that new PS5, I saw some images for that yesterday. It just came out, right? It's
yeah. Hey, Rockstar, Grand Theft Auto 6. What the hell?
Well, that's what I got. Yesterday. I got the son was like, I'm gonna need that PS5, Dad. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, he's 9. Where are you? He's on YouTube. He's watching the launch.
Shout out to your son watching this podcast later. Get into PC gaming. Don't be a console head. Don't pay for that stuff, man. You got a more
iPad guy. Right now, it's all iPad. Roblox is like all day, every day on his iPad.
Well, that's good. Roblox is good. Ramp up. Everyone gets into it somehow. I think what was the site that I used to go to for all the little Flash games back in the day. Oh, I can't remember, but it was the same kind of thing, like those little Flash games are so fun and simple and cool.
Yeah, that's right. He's got 100 of them. He's talking about these worlds. I'm like, I don't know where you were today, man. I don't know what's going on. So how about a movie? Watch any movies lately?
Let's see. What's the last movie I saw that was any good? I haven't been totally wildly impressed with a lot of movies, I'll have to admit. Of course, like the big blockbuster stuff, like the Marvel stuff's always good for a laugh, but yeah. In terms of something that actually like made me really enjoy. Actually, Peanut Butter Falcon was really good. If you guys haven't seen Peanut Butter Falcon, I love that movie.
I need to see that. Yeah.
The only film I've seen recently that I was like, I feel something that's real. I like it.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf's a good actor and a good man.
Yeah, I think that one was in our list of like something to watch on a Friday night. Maybe tonight. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, it's a fun movie. It is. It's not like a feel good fun movie. Oh my God! Can you see this giant spider?
Whoa.
Okay, guys. So things got real over here. That is a serious. Can you see how big that thing is compared to my hand? I mean, that is a huge spider.
You just gonna roll with that? You need to get a discriminator?
He's doing spider stuff.
Okay, he's just doing some spider stuff. I hope he's not making a nest in that new synthesizer. He's just,
Dude, I hope he's busting some filthy spider beats, buddy. Give me some ripping polyrhythms, buddy. Get some spider scratching.
It's hilarious. All right, how about podcasts? You listen to any podcasts outside of mine? I know you listen to mine every day. You start your Mondays and Thursdays off with me. But
I'm ready to give you my big admission. I don't listen to podcasts, and I'll tell you why. Okay. My children do not give me any unbroken sets of time to do so. I tried to do it in the car with them, and they were just not feeling it. You can't get a topic that they're liking, so it's like, we basically do books on tape. So my podcasts are now books on tape, young adult fiction, from the library. We listen to, 7 CD books for my 5-year-old daughter, and she, just absorbs any and all storytelling. So, she needs that stuff. She loves it. So that's what we do with our.
All right. And then last one will be, is there any websites or blogs that you go to for inspiration around marketing or just to kind of stay up on stuff or tech design, I'm a musician, Redditor. Whatever?
I'm a big Redditor. I find that is a place that I can go to get a lot of information about a lot of stuff. I like that I don't have to use it as a news aggregator. I don't have to just go and hit the news clips. I can dig into the comments and talk to the people that live in those areas and then ask them direct questions about what they're experiencing. So it's like almost a secondary way for me to be my own reporter. Yeah. So that's nice. And then when it comes down to like stuff like learning about marketing and, what's happening in the tech world, you can speak to people that are in the companies that you're curious about, and they're willing to share these things with you because you're part of a community that they're also part of. So yeah, I very much appreciate Reddit. I used to go to Fark.com a lot. You're familiar with Fark? There's I forget the guy's name, Drew. I forget his last name, but it's another news aggregator, and it has a really sort of sardonic, sarcastic humor for all of the taglines of the stories or something. Yeah. And I really enjoy that. Like, it'll be like, the tagline will be like "stupid ugly puppy" or like "stupid ugly puppy." It'll be like something like amazingly cute dog. So it's like, that's a dumb example, but it's a fun way of getting your news in a sort of like a different way. So shout out to fark.com.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Well, where should we send people? Like, where should people go to dive into your world? This is their first time learning about your tuners and stuff, but where should people kind of go outside the Kickstarter?
So go to roadiemusic.com and you can check out all our products there, and you can see, deep dives into everything. We have a blog on that site that has more insight than you would imagine from most company blogs. It's not just like, hey, how can we convince you to think and talk about our product? It's like, we're musicians. We're interested in music. We like to talk about music stuff, and that's where we do that. So feel free to check out the blog. You might learn something cool. And, in general, just, go, I don't know, outside and see the world. Don't get sick, but, high five a bird, look at the sun.
Very cool. Well, we'll leave it on that. High-fiving birds. I think that's the best way to end up any podcast. Well, Sam,
right.
I appreciate you taking time out of your day, man. I know you guys are busy. Got a lot of stuff going on. This was a great conversation, and I'm glad we could dive into the weeds. Monstrous campaign, so kudos on that. I look forward to seeing where you guys end up in the next 13 days or so, and thanks again for your time.
Cheers. Thank you so much, man.